Hi, welcome back to another edition of the preview show. This week we've got the BMW PGA Championships at Wentworth on the European Tour, and I'll touch briefly on the PGA Tour, which has the Fort Worth Invitational at Colonial Country Club. So first and foremost, European Tour, it's the flagship event held at the European Tour headquarters. We've already heard a lot this week, or a couple of announcements with regards to the Ryder Cup, and this tournament, I suppose for me, signifies the big last push for Ryder Cup points for the European team. So it's the kickoff of the Rolex Series, which are the big ticket events on the European Tour. As such, the strength of the field is really strong, the prize money is good, and obviously the amount of points available for potential Ryder Cuppers are there to be taken. So in terms of the field itself, we've obviously got Rory and a couple of the prominent PGA Tour Europeans, so Noren, Fleetwood, Hatton, Poulter, they're all over here this week. So the strength of the field is great. It'll be the best field we'll probably have all season. And I think the history of the course itself, just the list of the guys that have won this tournament over the years, from Montgomery, Alathabel, Rory, Lou Donald, Justin Rose. It's just got a real pedigree. Those have gone on to do great things in the Ryder Cup. So I think we're in for a fascinating weekend. It'll be really interesting to see how the course plays out. Last year we obviously had a real treat with Noren shooting a 62 on the final day, and including an unbelievable eagle on the final hole. So he comes back to try and retain his crown, and I think he's certainly somebody that needs to be taken very seriously this week, given his form on the PGA Tour. And I think it's that type of individual who'll do well this week. It doesn't have to be the longest off the tee, but it's about putting yourself in play, putting yourself in the right positions on the fairways to then attack certain greens. And then obviously putting well, as always. So look for ball strikers. It's not necessarily length, but ball striking is going to be key. So with that in mind, my winner this week is, I'm going to tip Tommy Fleetwood. I've really liked his form all year long. He obviously won in the Middle East right at the beginning of the season, took in some really good form over in the States, had a number of top 10 finishes out there. Just playing well, such a likeable guy, top 10 in the world, just been playing fabulous golf now for 18 months. He's not had a great track record here at Wentworth, but I'm not really putting too much stock into that because his form is just so good. And I think this is a type of course that should set up quite nicely for him. Puts the ball in play off the tee, and just unbelievable iron player. I'm not sure there's anybody else who's hitting his irons as well as him, certainly not from a European Tour perspective. So for me, I'm backing him as my winner. In terms of each way, my original each way bet, and I'm going to stick with him, although I'm going to give you another one as well, is Ross Fisher. So Ross Fisher's 50 to 1. He was a member here at Wentworth. He's runner-up here beforehand, a few top 10s as well. So he's got pedigree at this track. He again, like Fleetwood's been in really decent form, particularly over the last sort of 6 to 9 months. And again, it's the sort of course that will suit up well to him. He just puts the ball in play. So I really like him to have a good week this week. The other name I'm going to give you is someone who's not necessarily been in as good as form as he was last year. But I had heard from a couple of sources that he put in an unbelievable couple of practice rounds the last 2 days. I think yesterday he shot 8 birdies. So I'm going to give you his name. It's Tyrrell Hatton, 30 to 1. He's a good player. He's got pedigree here as well. He was the 54-hole leader a couple of years ago. I think he ended up going 5th, 6th, if I remember rightly. So he's got pedigree at the course. He's getting great player, very streaky. But look, hitting the ball well, there's no reason why he can't be in this tournament. And I think he's somebody that will be certainly looking to try and reinforce his way into the Ryder Cup team. In terms of outsiders to look out for, there were 3 that I couldn't really get away from, and all of them are 100 to 1. So I'll give you the English, the patriotic choice first. That's Eddie Pepperell. Again, he's a great thinking golfer. To me, this course will be set up nicely to him. I know he's done well here, albeit a few years ago when he really rose to prominence before sort of falling off for a couple of years. But he obviously likes the track, talks well about it. He's in really decent form. He's already obviously had his maiden win this year out in Qatar. So I like him at 100 to 1. The other couple of names, a couple of Europeans. So you've got Michael Lorenzo-Vera, the French guy. He's had a runner-up in the Golf Sixes, a runner-up in Roquefort in Sicily a couple of weeks ago. And last week he was in the quarterfinal of the Belgian Knockout. So he's in a guy's in really hot form. 100 to 1. He's not the longest off the tee by any stretch, but it's his creativity and ability with his irons that for me sets him up to do well this week. And the other guy who was a Ryder Cup stalwart a few years ago, has sort of disappeared, turns up every once in a while, and has done well last week again at the Belgian Knockout, is Nicholas Colsaerts. He was also third here last year, so he's got pedigree at this event. He's one of those characters you just really like, really good personality, really great guy on the European Tour. I think I'd be just a bit nostalgic with regards to the Ryder Cup, but I'd get 100 to 1. I don't think you can go too far wrong with any of those bets at the minute, just given form, pedigree, and how their game sort of sets up for this course. So they're my three outsiders. Moving on to the PGA Tour. So it's Colonial Country Club and it's the Fort Worth Invitational. This event couldn't be more different to A, the players, and B, Trinity Forest, where they played last week, which was effectively an inland links course. This is kind of a classic strategic get the ball in play. It's quite interesting. Both events this week again put a premium on put the ball in the right side of the fairway and aim at the right part in order to aim at the right part of the greens and putt well. So both events set up quite nicely. In terms of if you want some sort of guidelines as to the sort of events and form to look out for, perhaps the best one to look out for is Harbour Town a few weeks back. Harbour Town again is another one where you've got to put yourself in the right position off the tee in order to attack certain greens, and this will play out like that. And you could see it from the winner last year. The winner was Kevin Kisner, who by no stretch is anywhere near the top of the driving statistics, but what he is incredibly accurate and a very good iron player. So he won the event last year, holding off Spieth and Rahm. Rahm is again playing this event this year, as is Justin Rose. I think they're the only two top Europeans that we're really missing. Sorry, and Sergio. They're the only top Europeans we're missing this week over at Wentworth. In terms of the odds, Jordan Spieth is the favourite. I can't back him at the minute, just until he starts putting better. I can't back him to win. I mean, I don't think it'd be a million miles away as an each-way bet, but to be quite honest, the value at sort of 9 to 1 is negligible for an each-way bet. For me, I'm going for somebody who's already won on the PGA Tour and actually won not that long ago, and that's Webb Simpson. Obviously, Webb ran away with the Players a few weeks ago. He's clearly in great form. He's got pedigree here at the Colonial Country Club. Last two times he's been at the event, he was tied third, one time and fifth the other time. So he's got pedigree at this course. It just sets up well for him. He's driving, he's accurate, he's short, but he's accurate. His iron play is phenomenal and his putter is hot at the minute. So for me, I would look for him to do pretty well at this course this week. So he's my winner at 20 to 1. In terms of each way, there were so many different ways I could have gone here. You've got guys who've got pedigree at this course, who've won here beforehand and always seem to do very well, like Steady Eddies, and that's Zach Johnson at 33 to 1 and Steve Stricker at 67 to 1. But I'm going to go with a fan favourite. Same odds as Zach Johnson, 33 to 1, and that's Jason Duffner. So Duffner's had 6 top 10s in 10 events here at Colonial Country Club. The other 4 times he's missed the cut, so he's a bit boom or bust. But 6 top 10s, you can't go wrong with that. And he's in decent form, 5th at the Players. So again, he's got some recent form too. Hopefully his putter is not so yippy as it was towards the end of the Players. I mean, he should have really come second, but for some woeful putting over the last 4 or 5 holes. But ball striking is there. I think he'll put himself in enough good positions and make enough putts to put himself in contention. In terms of an outside, I'm going with somebody who will be completely outside the box, which is ridiculous bearing in mind he's top 30 player in the world. And he won at Harbour Town. And that's Satoshi Kodera. So Japanese guy who, this is his first year on the PGA Tour. He only had a couple of invitations, of which Harbour Town was one. He won on Harbour Town, so he's now exempt on the PGA Tour for the next couple of years. So he's playing a bit more of a schedule. Now, if you look at his recent form, miscut the Players, miscut last week at Trinity Forest, but as I mentioned earlier, these courses are so different. This course at Colonial is so different to the last two that you can't really look too much at that. But 150 to 1, it was just crazy high odds. I think he's played well enough this year already that he's in with a shot. At 151, you can't go wrong with an outside bet. So there you have it. Two great events, all about strategy, putting the ball in play, ball striking, and then just, whoever rolls the most putts. I think we're going to be quite English heavy on the European Tour. I'm really thinking a really strong week for the English players. And on the PGA Tour, I think it's a bit of a crapshoot, but I expect one of the American guys to do it. As always, comment below with your picks. Hopefully I can make some money again for you this week. Last week we had Leishman coming in second and Jimmy Walker fifth. So hopefully you made some cash there. But yeah, comment below as always with your picks. Until next week, cheers.